Disneyland Resort locals do not, and I repeat, do not want a third park coming to the resort. But why? Let's talk about the possible reasons up next. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of Orange Grove 55 with my good friend Grogu right here. We're going to discuss why the possible reasons that a lot of Disneyland locals just do not want a third park. Now, I've been talking a lot lately of a third park. Ever since that Disneyland Forward announcement back in March, look, I think the possibilities of a third park have gone up greatly. I really, really do. But there's been a lot of pushback. I get a lot of comments in on my videos from like Disneyland locals saying like, I don't want a third park, and they give me a laundry list of reasons as to why they don't want a third park, or a laundry list of excuses as to why we shouldn't get a third park. And, I kind of want to go over with you guys some of that. Okay. Now, look, I want to be completely honest with you. My channel, I like to challenge my audience. I don't like to just feed you sugary content and just kind of feed you like what you want to hear. Chapek bad, yada, yada, yada. Yay, 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 yeah. I don't want to do that. I want to challenge you intellectually and kind of like discuss and debate, right? Sometimes that's going to make some people upset. And that's okay. That's okay as long as we keep everything really civil. But in this video, I want to kind of look internally as a fan community. Why do Disneyland locals, why are so many of them opposed to that third park? And I have a couple of theories as to why. And it might not make some of you too happy, but hey, you know what? We're going to talk about it. We're going to discuss it because I think it's a very, very interesting conversation to have. Now, the number one reason why I think a lot of Disneyland locals do not want that third park, it kind of ties to like the reservation system. Okay. And you're probably thinking like, Orange Grove, what the fuck are you talking about? What do you mean it ties to the reservation system? It ties to the reservation system in the sense that the reservation system, as it's set up right now, the magic key holders, the annual pass holders, they're in a different reservation bucket in terms of a reservation availability than like the tourists and those like day tickets. Like if you're buying like a multi-day ticket or a single day ticket, you're in a different bucket for reservations than like the Magic Key annual pass holders. Well, we've seen over the past few weeks that the Magic Key holders are not too happy because they can't get a day. It's like everything is booked. But when you buy like a single day ticket or like a multi-day ticket, you have a lot more like flexibility. Okay. So it's kind of showing that Disney is kind of putting more of their eggs in that tourism basket than they are the Magic Key. Now, here's the thing. Here's the rub. Okay. The rub is that the annual pass holders and the Magic Keys kind of feel a sense of, what's the word for it? Kind of feel a sense of like kind of being like disrespected almost, okay? Because like they've been kind of running the land for the longest time, and now like the day tickets are sort of getting a priority, okay? So I think that's a big issue there, right? But here's the thing: once you add a third park to Disneyland Resort, the tourism focus is going to be even greater. So if you think that Disney now is favoring tourism and favoring those individual multi-day tickets, they're going to favor that even more so with a third park. And the reason for that is because really a three park, resort, you're kind of nipping on Walt Disney World's heels at that point. Walt Disney World only has 4 parks, right? Disneyland Resort with 3 parks, even if they're a lot smaller, that's a sizable resort. And I think a lot of annual pass holders or Magic Key holders feel kind of threatened by that. They don't want that 3 theme park resort because it's sort of the inevitability is that, well, it's more of a tourist destination at that point. It's much more of an outside. It's going to have much more of that outside appeal than it once did. It's not going to be just that locals kind of hangout. Once you add that 3rd park, it's much more of a resort akin to like a Walt Disney World. Now, look, I'm under no illusion here that even adding a 3rd park to Disneyland Resort is going to be like on par acreage wise to Disney World. Of course not. Nothing will Disneyland Resort will never be as big as Walt Disney World, but the psychology though is there. When you add a 3rd park, it's much more of a tourist destination. And when you make it more of a tourist destination, that's inevitably going to take away from that locals aspect. And a lot of locals don't want that. A lot of locals don't want to lose their kind of like their clout. They want it to remain a locals kind of hangout, and they don't want that outside tourism coming in too much. A 3rd park is a big deal. It's a big effing deal. And that's a big reason why I believe, in my opinion, that a lot of locals don't want that 3rd park. It creates too much. Yes, I said too much of a resort destination, and they don't want that. They like keeping Disneyland as a locals resort, a locals hangout, and a 3rd park does a lot to boost that clout, in terms of outside tourism coming in. They just don't want that. They really, 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 really don't want that. So another thing I really don't understand when it comes to like this whole argument about not having a 3rd park is like, well, Tomorrowland, still needs help, and, Hollywoodland still needs help, and let's focus on that stuff, and then we'll worry about the 3rd park. Now, I understand that mentality, but here's the issue I have with that. No one seems to have that argument when it comes to Walt Disney World. No one has a problem with 5 theme parks at Walt Disney World, despite the fact that Disney's Hollywood Studios is a complete and total mess, despite the fact that Epcot is kind of a mess, despite the fact that all the parks in Florida need work. But for some reason, on top of all those parks needing work, Florida still needs a 5th park on top of that. But Disneyland Resort needs to be freaking perfect. You can't have one corner of the resort that's going to have any kind of neglect or problem before you add a 3rd park. Everything needs to be, Tomorrowland needs to be perfect. DCA needs to be perfect. Then you can add. When Disneyland and DCA are completed and flawless, then you can add your 3rd park. But that same standard is not applied to Walt Disney World. Why? All 4 theme parks at Walt Disney World don't need to have everything perfect and fixed and everything before their 5th park. But for some reason, Disneyland can't have a single corner of the resort that needs any kind of help without adding its 3rd park. So I think it's a little bit of a weird kind of like double standard, and I just disagree with it. I think Disneyland absolutely needs a 3rd park because our 2 parks right now are limited in space. Acreage is finite here in Disneyland Resort, and the capacity, the demand is so high here. A 3rd park would be greatly, greatly needed in order to kind of mitigate that demand. Much more needed than in Walt Disney World. It just is. But nobody wants to acknowledge that. Nobody wants to acknowledge that. But we definitely need more of a 3rd park here. Then Walt Disney World needs a 5th park. We need to spread these crowds out a little bit. Okay? But again, locals don't want that. The locals are it's the locals that are pushing back hard against a 3rd park at Disneyland. And it's, I think a lot of it has to do with just kind of losing that sort of clout. It really does. Once you get that 3rd park, it's much more of a resort destination. And a lot of locals fans, they want to be the focus. They want to keep Disneyland as a locals park. You can't do that when you got 3 theme parks, a shopping district, multiple hotels. It's too much of a resort then. It's too much of a resort. So there's a lot of issues here. There's a lot of psychology here. And again, like I said before, earlier in my video, I really like to challenge my audience. Everything I say is not going to make you happy, and that's okay. That's okay. But I want to kind of inspire and spark debate. So comment below. What do you think about what I said here? Do you agree with me? Do you vehemently disagree with me? Do I totally suck and I'm totally wrong? Type it down below if I did. If I do, I know a lot of people are going to be upset with this, but I just want to kind of address this and sort of spark that debate. So let me know what you guys think. I would love to hear from you. Thank you all so much for watching another episode. And hey, you know what? Baby Yoda over here thanks you as well for watching this episode of Orange Grove 55. And as always, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye-bye, everybody.